It was a beautiful day. The sky was painted a radiant shade of blue. The air was crisp and clean, carrying with it the gentle breeze of springtime. It was the perfect day for a swim. 3 young men, friends since childhood, decided to take a dip in the nearby river. They laughed and splashed, enjoying the cool water against their skin. After a while, they climbed out of the river, their bodies glistening in the sunlight, and lay down on the soft, green grass to dry off. As they rested, they noticed an old woman standing by the riverbank, her wrinkled hands clasped together in front of her. She looked worried and frail. "Hello, boys," she said, her voice trembling. "I'm sorry to bother you, but I was wondering if you could help me cross to the other side. I can't swim, and I'm afraid the river will take me away." The 3 friends exchanged glances, and without hesitation, they agreed to help her. "Just tell us where you need to go, and we'll get you there," one of the friends assured her. They walked over to the old woman and gently lifted her, supporting her weight between them. They waded into the river, careful not to let any water touch her frail body. As they made their way across the river, Kwame couldn't help but notice the heavy leather pouch hanging loosely from the old woman's waist. "Are you sure that's secure?" he asked her. "That bag looks quite heavy. You might want to make sure it's more stable." The old woman laughed, her wrinkled face creasing into a warm, kind smile. "I'm much older than you, my dear," she said with a smile. "I've had this bag for a long time. I can handle it just fine." They reached the other side of the river without incident, carefully setting the old woman down on dry land. As they stepped away, they noticed the leather pouch had come loose from her waist. It fell into the river, disappearing beneath the surface of the water. The old woman let out a shriek, "Thieves! You've stolen my money. I had 50 coins in there. You must return them to me immediately." The 3 friends exchanged worried glances, unsure of what to believe. Just then, Kwame, who was an excellent swimmer, dived into the river and retrieved the pouch from the bottom. He pulled himself back onto the riverbank, shaking the water from his eyes, and opened the pouch. To their surprise, there were only 10 coins inside. "Here," he said, handing the coins to the old woman. "This is all that was in there." The old woman took the coins and quickly counted them. Her face turned red with anger. "I had 50 coins in that bag. You must return them all to me," she demanded. Her voice was shrill and accusatory. The 3 friends looked at each other, confused. Kwame, who had been closest to the woman when she had fallen, spoke up. "We're sorry, ma'am, but we didn't take any of your money. We only found 10 coins in the pouch." The old woman's face twisted in anger, and she pointed a gnarled finger at the friends. "You must have taken the rest. I know you did it. Give me my money back." She began to shuffle toward them, her hands outstretched, the 10 coins rattling in the pouch. The 3 friends exchanged worried glances. They couldn't understand what she was talking about. They had only found 10 coins in the pouch. They had no idea where the rest had gone. As the old woman grew more agitated, the villagers who had gathered on the riverbank began to murmur amongst themselves. Some looked at the friends suspiciously, while others seemed to believe the old woman's accusations. Kwame, feeling a mixture of guilt and anger, tried to reason with the old woman. "Ma'am, we swear we didn't take any of your money. We were just trying to help you. We wouldn't do that. Please believe us." But the old woman wouldn't listen. She continued to insist that they had stolen her money and demanded they return it immediately. As the argument escalated, the villagers grew more divided. Some sided with the old woman, claiming that the boys must have taken the money. Others began to question the old woman's story, wondering why she would entrust such valuable belongings to 3 strangers in the first place. The situation became increasingly tense, with people shouting and pointing fingers. Kwame, feeling helpless and angry, turned to his friends for support. "Do you think we should just leave her?" he asked, his voice trembling with frustration. "She's making a scene and ruining our reputation in the village." His friends exchanged glances, unsure of what to do. Just then, an elderly man known as Elder Kofo pushed his way through the crowd. He was respected and well known in the village, and his presence immediately silenced the arguing voices. The old woman stopped shouting and turned to the elder. "My dear friend," she said, her voice wavering, "I know you would never believe such a thing about these fine young men. They have always been honest and kind. I am just so upset and confused. Please, I beg of you, help me find out what happened to my money." The elder man nodded thoughtfully, his gaze moving from the old woman to the 3 friends. "Let us all take a step back and calm ourselves," he began. "There must be some sort of explanation for this confusion. Perhaps someone else in the village saw something or heard something that could help us understand what happened." He paused, looking around at the crowd. "I propose that we gather everyone here who was near the river this afternoon and ask them what they saw or heard. Perhaps together we can piece together the truth of what transpired." The old woman, still visibly shaken, nodded in agreement. The villagers began to murmur amongst themselves, some looking surprised at the suggestion, while others nodded in approval. The elderly man turned to the 3 friends, his expression grave. "I want you to know that we will get to the bottom of this," he assured them. "No matter what the outcome, we will not let your good names be tarnished unfairly." The 3 friends exchanged glances, feeling a mixture of relief and uncertainty. They knew Elder Kofo was a fair and just man, but the situation still weighed heavily on them. They had done nothing wrong, but the old woman's accusations had left them feeling unsettled and uneasy. As the villagers gathered around, Elder Kofo addressed them. "I want everyone who was near the river this afternoon to come forward and share what they saw or heard. Let us begin with you, my young friends," he said, nodding to Kwame and his friends. They stepped forward, reluctantly sharing their account of finding the old woman's pouch and the 10 coins inside. The villagers listened intently, some nodding in agreement, while others looked confused or skeptical. One woman raised her hand, recalling that she had seen a group of children playing near the river earlier in the day. She described their clothing and the games they were playing, and the others in the crowd began to murmur. This led to several more people coming forward with similar stories, painting a picture of the children's activities during the afternoon. As the stories unfolded, it became clear that the children had been playing a game involving collecting coins and items from along the riverbank. They would hide these items and then divide them up among themselves at the end of the game. Some of the children admitted to finding a small leather pouch near a particularly rocky part of the shore, but they insisted that it was empty when they found it. The elder man listened carefully to all of the testimony, taking note of the inconsistencies and similarities between the accounts. He thanked everyone for their honesty and their willingness to help sort through the confusion. He then turned to the old woman, whose face had grown pale as she listened to the stories. "My dear," he said gently, "it seems that there is another explanation for what has happened to your money. It appears that the children's game may have been the cause of the confusion. While they may not have intended any harm, their playfulness may have led to your money being lost or misplaced. His conversation was interrupted by a small figure hurrying toward them. It was the young girl from earlier, her eyes red from crying. She held out 40 coins in her hands, tears streaming down her face. "I found this," she sobbed. "I was playing by the river, and I found it stuck in a rock. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to take it. Please, can I give it back to you?" Everyone exchanged glances, their hearts full of understanding and compassion. They nodded in unison, and the girl carefully placed the coins into the old woman's trembling hands. The old woman's face broke into a wide smile, and she clasped the girl to her, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you, my dear," she whispered. "Thank you for returning it to me." The old woman's shoulders slumped in relief. "Oh, thank you, kind elder," she said, her voice trembling. "I am so grateful for your help in clearing up this misunderstanding." She turned to the three friends, her eyes filled with regret. "I apologize for accusing you of wrongdoing," she said, her voice barely audible. "I was so distraught that I could not think straight." Kwame and his friends nodded, trying to hide their own relief. They felt terrible for being falsely accused but were grateful that the situation had been resolved fairly. The elder man patted the old woman's shoulder gently. "There's no need to apologize," he said. "We are all human, and sometimes our emotions can cloud our judgment. It's understandable." As the crowd began to disperse, the three friends exchanged glances, feeling a newfound sense of friendship. They had been through a difficult ordeal together, and they knew that their friendship had only grown stronger because of it. They decided that from now on, they would always be there for each other, through thick and thin. Elder Kofo watched them with a smile, pleased to see that they had come to this realization on their own. He knew that the village would need strong leaders like Kwame and his friends in the years to come. As he walked back to his hut, he couldn't help but feel a sense of pride in the young men and the village they called home. As the sun began to set over the village, casting a warm golden light across the river, the three found themselves lingering by the riverbank. They had gone through so much in the past few hours, but somehow, it had brought them closer together. They talked about their hopes and dreams for the future, and promised to always be there for each other no matter what challenges they might face. They had learned an important lesson about trust, friendship, and the power of forgiveness. They knew that their village was strong, and that together, they could face any challenges that came their way. Moral of the story is to not be in a haste to accuse someone. They may be innocent. Also, we must learn to forgive those that offend us.